So it's a beautiful day today, so I thought I'd do a video outside. So I want to ask you a question. What has this, and this got to do with a 60 victim murder in the 1500s? I'll see you after this intro. So welcome back. It is such a hot day today, and it's just cooling down, believe it or not, but I am so sweating. But I thought I'd come outside and do a video because for some reason everyone seems to like the outdoor videos that I do. I'm not complaining, but hey, I thought I would conduct this video today outside on my terrace. So remember, I've spoken to you about these three pictures. So what these three pictures got to do with a victim, or victims I should say, of 60 victims who have died, been murdered back in the 1500s. I know I'm going back a bit, but this is a solved case, but I wanted to share this with you because I want to do historic stuff and also present stuff because it's still in the UK. Right, let me just start and let's kick it off. So this is the Ostrich in Colnbrook, which is in Berkshire, which is just outside London near Heathrow Airport. It dates back from the 11th century. It used to be highwayman's inn, so people like Dick Turpin, Bow Street runners used to hide out there, and numerous of people used to hide out there. It's been around for time. And if you believe in the paranormal, this place is haunted as anything. See my video, and I'll put a link below, which has links to my other channel about paranormal investigations. But anyway, let's just crack on with this video. So this place is called the Ostrich. It had various names and it's been, but it's always been an inn or a pub. So the people who owned it back in the 15th century were called the Germans. They don't say any first and second name because back in the 15th century, they didn't really record birthdays and marriages, but they just obviously, especially if you were not really wealthy or well off. So this place has actual royal links. Now it was King John. Yes, he's the one in Robin Hood. He was the one who created Magna Carta in Runnymede, which isn't too far from actual Colnbrook. So let's just talk about the actual place and who the Germans were. Now the Germans were synonymous. They go back down in history as one of the great serial killers. The story is that when a wealthy person would come into actual Colnbrook, which was actually named something else, and I'll tell you why it's called Colnbrook, but that is the reason after and why this man is so important to the story. When wealthy people would come into the local area and had someone to stay, what they used to do, the Germans used to do, was they would welcome him in. The place was so well known, and remember, it was built in the 11th century, and it was a highway, it was a actual inn, and it was also a link along the links into London. So the Germans were around in the 15th century, so we got about 300 to 400 years of history there. So well-known people would know to stay there. So let's just talk about this. It's kind of like the Ritz, really. So the Germans, when people used to come and stay, they will give these wealthy people this beautiful store place, this room with lovely tapestries on the wall, silk sheets. Yes, really silk sheets back in the day. They would throw beautiful food at them. They would lavish them with food and wine, get them to such a degree, so drunk, so intoxicated, and so much with it out of their head, and they didn't know what the day was. When they went to sleep, they were so out of it. There used to be the bed, as you see up here. The bed was below into the kitchen. The bed was above, there was room above the kitchens. And what they used to do, they used to slide the trap door, open the trap door and tilt the bed. So you used to slide. They used to throw them into the burning fan, which was obviously stored just below. I've been there probably about a year ago when I did my research on it, when I was doing it for my book. And the actual kitchen, or where the actual cauldron or the burning fat would be, where they used to burn the fat, or when they used to cook for people who used to visit, is above the actual kitchen. So however, that room now is not a room, it's actually a storeroom. But the people who was there now were quite open to say and allow you to come and have a look at the place. It's hired out as well, so I leave links into actual hiring at the place. And there's also an important part of why the place you can hire what's synonymous with the Germans as well and their demise. So let me crack on a bit more. So I said that the Germans used to get the wealthy people to come in. There would be travelers, they'd be so tired and they'd be so worn from the travel from, you know, up north all the way down to London, which could take weeks, you know, by carriage. So anyway, as we got to actual Colnbrook, they want to see somewhere quite fitting for their age, fitting for their status. So they stayed at the Ostrich Inn, which was named something else. And when they stayed there, they obviously, as I said, gave them the food and they gave them the wines, and they were so intoxicated that they actually put them in bed, wait for them to be asleep, and they would pull this trap door, which would be under their feet or under the bed, and the bed would tilt and it would slide straight into the burning fat and it would die instantly. So, and then what they used to do when the person died and whatever was remaining of their body, they used to drag out to the actual brook, which is like a stream, a river, which leads to the Thames. And obviously, over a period of time, people wouldn't know that these people existed. Some people that used to pass were illiterate. Some people wouldn't even say that they stayed there. Remember, there was no phones, there were no communications. It was just, I'm on my way there, and when I arrive, I arrive. So, you know, and if someone got lost, if you made it through various places along the links down from, say, Scotland or even from Birmingham or up north down to London, and you survived without being attacked or killed by highwaymen. So why is this bloke so important? Let me introduce Thomas Cole. Thomas Cole was a clover. Now, clover, he was so wealthy back in the 15th century. He was born in Berkshire, and there is records of him, and this is a picture I found of him. He was so wealthy that everybody along from Reading down to London, he was kind of like an Oswald Boateng or a Gucci of the day. He was so well known, very smart, and he also had an entourage, like a king. He had an entourage that will follow him along his path where he was going. So what the story is that Thomas Cole arrived and he was tired, worn out. He was on his way to London. He had to go and do a bit of business in London. So he's with his educated servant. Now, Thomas Cole, what was important about Thomas Cole, educated most of his close confidants around him. And his horse was quite smart as well. Now, this is a key part of the whole story. So when Thomas Cole, again, replaced him with food, with wine, he was so happy, he was out of it, intoxicated. Remember back in the day, you could drink and be merry and all the rest of it, and it won't be no way. So they led him up to the room. He laid him down. He was so pleased with how the room looked. Put his bags there, went to lay down, retired to sleep. They made sure he was well looked after, made sure he was settled. Then there's an argument saying it was between 2 in the morning or 4 in the morning that someone actually, it was the Jarman wife, so Mrs. Jarman, would go and check on the actual person who was staying in that room to make sure that they were asleep. Normally, if you get drunk and you're out of it, you're normally gone within an hour, really, aren't you? Because you're just so wiped out by drinking. So anyway, so he was out for the count, but so there they go, pulled the lever, slid down, straight down into the burning fat, and he died, but he didn't die. They pulled him out, they thought he was dead, they dragged his body down to the brook and left him there for dead. And then what happened was he came back, he was trying to he climbed back and he was trying to make his way back, but apparently the Germans found him and attacked him and killed him. But then what happened was his horse wandered off. They took all of his clothing and all the rest of it, all his kind of like his wealth. They took all what stuff he brought with him, his luggage and all the rest of it, and hid it away so no one could find it. I mean, they just said, you know, yeah, he left, he's gone, no one's gonna say anything. They were all respected in the area. The horse left, obviously Macedonian something happened, so the horse left and wandered to the actual inn, and his servant was outside, and he was like, hold on, where's Thomas? This is a bit unusual. It's not like him to just up and go and not let me know. So he went into the actual servant went in to talk to the Germans and said, like, look, where is he? He said, oh, he's left and he's gone. Now, he just left and he's gone off to London. He left early this morning. Now, the servant knows for sure that he would not go anywhere without his faithful horse. This horse, he was with him since birth. Now, he would not leave anywhere without taking his horse. So, suspicion raised, and they turned around and said, this ain't afoot here. So the servant went and spoke to the local authorities, and the local authorities came down to check on where he was, and couldn't find anything. They mopped up really quite well. So they done a search of the area, saying, no, this must be foul play here. Let's have a look to see if we can find anything. Let's just look locally. So they looked locally, and after they searched for a couple of hours, couldn't find him. So they decided to make their way down to the brook, just in case, I don't know, he may have just wandered down by the brook. Went down by the brook and they found his body. So they noticed that this guy was irreparably destroyed and he was in a lot of pain. And they were like, what the hell is going on? What is this about? So the authorities went back to the Germans, who, disappeared, as you do, when you just committed murder. They disappeared into Windsor Forest, and which is just by Windsor. They managed to find them hiding out in Windsor Forest, drag them back to the inn, and they had no time to kind of give any kind of judgment. They punished them, tortured them, and they confessed to over 60 murders of foul play and killing these people, these wealthy people who had just disappeared. And what they did, instead of bringing them to London, they got a rope, looped it around the beam, and this is the beam or the room where they did it. And as what I said, where you can hire out, this is the place that actually hung these people, hung them in the actual room until they were dead, and then they were burnt and then disposed of. Now, that's actual written document facts, and they admitted to killing over 60 people, wealthy people, by doing it that way. I mean, they got so meticulous in how they did it that you would never know. They were really careful about who they killed. They wouldn't kill people who had connections. So the whole point of when they were talking to these people and they were sitting with them, you'd be sitting with, like, if it was, for example, the Ritz, you were sitting with the owners of the Ritz, and these people will be in having dining, drinking the finest wine and all the rest of it, and all the food. So they would ask him questions, leading questions. What links do you have to your home? Are you on your own? Where you're going to? Blah, blah, blah. All these leading questions. So they didn't kill everybody. They were careful who they went around killing. So the people that they did manage to kill, they admitted to 60. This was kind of really stupid. I'm not sure if that's 100% fact because there's no real documented facts, but it's known that they killed about 60 people. So that is the story of the Ostrich Inn and the 60 murders of the Germans. I know this is quite different than what I normally do, but I thought, let's just change up a bit. If you enjoyed the video, obviously, put comments below. If you want me to do more historical murders, let me know, and I'll find and research them and then put them out to you. And also, if this is something you enjoy and you enjoy the work I do, please like, share and subscribe, obviously. And obviously, don't forget that bell that you can press that will alert you in any videos I do. Trying to do 2 a week, so in order to get the channel up and growing. I'll leave some links to my other channels, so if you're interested to learn a bit more about what I do, there you go, you can find it there. So I look forward to you, and I'll see you on the next video.